The paper grocery bag slipped from my fingers before I fully process what I'm seeing. The jar of marinara shatters against my new tile floor, splashing red across the pristine white surface like blood at a crime scene. For 3 heartbeats I stand frozen in my own doorway, keys still dangling from my hand. My mother and sister are inside my cottage. My cottage that I showed them photos of only 3 days ago. My cottage whose address I deliberately hadn't shared. What are you doing here? My voice sounds distant, hollow. Liana whirls around, measuring tape extended between her hands. She's been measuring the guest bedroom, my home office. Her expression momentarily startled before settling into something irritatingly entitled. Posey, you're home early. Mom straightens from where she's been rearranging my sofa and armchair, creating a configuration I hate. We thought you'd be at work until 5. That doesn't answer my question. I step over the growing puddle of sauce, my shoes sticking slightly to the floor. How did you get in here? Mom waves dismissively. Oh, I had a key made yesterday when I stopped by to congratulate you. The memory surfaces instantly. Mom asking to use the bathroom during her brief visit. Her purse unexpectedly left behind when she went down the hall. At the time I'd thought nothing of it. You took my keys and copied them. Without asking? The tremor in my voice surprises me. Don't be so dramatic, honey. Mom busies herself, fluffing a throw pillow. We're just seeing how to make this work for everyone. Make what work? The question forms but doesn't leave my mouth because suddenly I know. The realization crashes into me with the force of a physical blow. Fragments of childhood flash before me. Liana's 11th birthday with the hired clown and backyard carnival, while my own celebration that same year had been a store-bought cake in our living room. Mom's dismissive. It's just not in the budget for you. Contrasted with the lavish spending for my sister, the pattern had never stopped. When I announced I was house hunting last month, Mom hadn't congratulated me. She'd called Liana immediately to discuss opportunities. This is my home, I say, each word carved from ice. Not yours, not ours, mine. I cross to Liana and pluck the spare key from her hand, where she's been fidgeting with it. Her fingers close reflexively, then release. You can't be serious about living here alone, Liana says, her forehead creasing with practiced concern. This place has 3 bedrooms. The kids need space. Your housing situation is not my problem. The steadiness in my voice surprises me. After everything we've done for you, Mom's eyes widen, her hand pressed dramatically to her chest. Your sister's children need bedrooms. Family helps family, Posey. You know, the familiar weight of obligation presses down, a lifetime of expectations that I'll sacrifice for Liana because that's what I've always done. But something has shifted inside me. The trembling in my hands stops as clarity washes through me. You have exactly 2 minutes to leave before I call the police. I point toward the door, arms steady. You wouldn't dare. Mom's voice sharpens. 1 minute, 50 seconds. They leave. Mom slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. I slide the deadbolt into place with a satisfying click. The phone rings 20 minutes later as I'm still cleaning marinara from the grout lines. Dad's name flashes on the screen. What the hell do you think you're doing? His voice booms the moment I answer. Your mother is in tears. You're tearing this family apart with your selfishness. I say nothing, scrubbing harder at a stubborn red stain. Liana needs help, Posey. That's what family does. You've always understood that before. Always understood. Always accommodated. Always sacrificed. Not anymore. I whisper, but he's still shouting, not hearing me. After I hang up, I stare at the family photo on my mantle. Mom, Dad, Liana with her perfect husband, and 3 children, and me slightly off-center, smiling the strained smile I've worn my entire life. For the first time I see us clearly, see the pattern of sacrifice I've been conditioned to accept. I place the frame face down on the shelf. This house is mine. This life is mine. And I'm done giving pieces of it away. A day later, the Facebook notification pings while I'm sipping my morning coffee. A rare moment of peace 3 days after the marinara incident. Something about Liana tagging me. I tap the icon, expecting another passive-aggressive family photo where I'm awkwardly positioned at the edge. What I find stops my breath. A post from 3 weeks ago before I'd even closed on my cottage shows Liana's 3 children squeezed into their shared bedroom. The caption reads, "Kids are finally getting a bigger place soon. Bless it. Family first." My thumb hovers over the screen as I scroll to the comment. Which bedroom does Ellie get? Asks one of Liana's friends. Liana's response, the blue one with the bay window. Jack and Tyler will share the room across the hall. Mom thinks the 3rd bedroom should stay a guest room in case Aunt Carol visits. My coffee mug slips from my fingers, splashing hot liquid across my bare feet. I barely notice the burn. 3 weeks ago. They were planning this 3 weeks ago. Before I'd even signed my mortgage papers, I bolt to the bathroom, my stomach heaving as the magnitude hits me. This wasn't an impulsive idea after seeing my house. This was calculated, planned. They had been strategizing how to take over my home before I'd even purchased it. My phone buzzes with a text notification as I rinse my mouth. It's from Dad, but he's accidentally included me in a group message meant for Mom and Liana. Don't worry about Posey's tantrum. Mom has written. She'll give in once you're settled. She always does. The shaking starts in my hands and spreads until my whole body trembles against the cool bathroom tile. She always does. 3 words that summarize my entire life. The family dinner invitation arrives via text the next evening. We need to talk about a solution. Dad writes, your mother's making pot roast. 7 p.m. I should refuse. Every instinct screams to stay away, but some withered hopeful part of me wonders if maybe, just maybe, they've reconsidered. When I arrive, the table is already set with Mom's good china. Dad, Mom, and Liana sit clustered on one side, an empty chair waiting for me on the other. The division couldn't be more obvious if they'd drawn a line down the middle. Posey, Mom says, her smile tight. We're so glad you could join us. Before I can respond, Dad slides a manila folder across the table. We've found the perfect solution. Inside are printouts of 5-bedroom houses, all within 2 miles of Liana's children's school. Each listing has been annotated with notes like perfect playroom and good backyard for the kid. These are lovely, I say carefully. For Liana and Mark. Dad clears his throat. For all of you together. We've already talked to your bank. Mom adds, stirring her iced tea. Transferring your mortgage to a different property is quite simple. The difference in price would be manageable if everyone contributes. My mouth goes dry. You contacted my bank. Just preliminary discussions, Mom says, waving away my concern like an annoying fly. Your furniture won't all fit, of course. Liana chimes in. But we could sell the extra piece. We'll need space for the kids' bunk beds. The front door opens and Mark strolls in. Late as usual. He nods at me before turning to Dad. I was thinking about the garage spaces. The left side would work better for my truck, if Posey doesn't mind parking on the street. The casual way they're dividing my property, a home they've never contributed a penny toward, leaves me speechless. My hands curl into fists beneath the table. Posey, Dad says, his voice dropping into the serious tone he used when I was a child and had disappointed him. Refusing to help would show you don't really care about being part of this family. Mom reaches across the table, not quite touching my hand. Think about your relationship with your nieces and nephew. Children remember who was there for them. Everyone knows family comes first in this town, Liana adds, her eyes narrowing. What would people think if they knew you had all that space while your sister's children are crammed into one room? The weight of their expectations presses against my chest. For years, my entire identity in this family has been Liana's supportive sister, never just Posey, with my own dreams and needs. I spoke with Robert at your office, Dad mentions casually, as if he hasn't just crossed yet another boundary. He understands your family crisis might require some flexibility in your schedule to help Liana with the move. After all we've done, Mom adds, her voice trembling with practiced emotion, providing a home for you all those years. The memory surfaces, writing rent checks every month throughout college while living in their basement, watching them pay Liana's full tuition and apartment costs without question. The silence stretches as they wait for my capitulation. The familiar script, Posey protests. Family pressures. Posey surrenders. She always does. But something has shifted inside me since finding them in my house. The pattern is suddenly visible, like one of those magic eye pictures that snaps into focus after years of just seeing random dots. I stand, carefully placing my napkin beside my untouched plate. Watch me not help, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. I walk out, ignoring their calls to return, their demands to sit back down and be reasonable. In my car, the phone begins buzzing with texts and calls. I switch it to silent. As I drive home that night, my phone lighting up with angry messages. I wonder if standing my ground is worth potentially losing my family. Should I maintain this boundary at all costs, or find some compromise that wouldn't completely sacrifice my independence? The house was mine, but was complete separation the only way to protect it? The thought of compromise flickers and dies as I remember the Facebook post. They never intended to ask. They planned to take. Some boundaries can't be partial. Sometimes the only protection is a wall. 3 days after the dinner ambush, notifications ping my phone like tiny detonations. Each one jolts me from whatever momentary peace I've managed to find. I make the mistake of looking at Liana's latest Facebook post. Her children squeezed onto a pull-out sofa, faces arranged in exaggerated pouts. The caption reads, "When family abandonment means your kids don't have proper bedrooms, family first, unless you're selfish." A parent. My stomach twists as I scroll through the sympathetic comments. People I've known since childhood offer prayers and support. 3 different church ladies promise to speak to me about Christian family value. My finger hovers over the reply button. But what could I possibly say that wouldn't pour gasoline on this fire? My phone buzzes with a text from Mrs. Hatcher, my 3rd grade teacher. "Your mother showed me pictures of your beautiful home. So much space for just one person. I raised 4 children in half that size." I set the phone face down on my kitchen counter and grip the edge until my knuckles whiten. The betrayal burns like acid in my throat, not just from Liana, who I've come to expect this from, but from. She's plastered photos of my house online with captions about forgetting where you came from, and what happens when success goes to your head. The doorbell rings, sending my heart rate skyrocketing. Through the peephole I spot Pastor Williams on my front step, Bible tucked under his. This isn't a coincidence. This is a coordinated attack. "I'm sorry I'm not available for visitors today." I call through the door. "Posey Adams, I've known you since you were in Sunday school. Your family is concerned. And as your spiritual advisor, I didn't request spiritual advice." I interrupt, surprising myself with the firmness in my voice. "Please respect my privacy." His sigh carries through the door. "I'll be praying for your heart to soften." After he leaves, I sit at my kitchen table and make a list of everything that's happened in the week since I threw my family out of my house. The scale of their retaliation is becoming clearer and more frightening. Yesterday, I discovered the first concrete evidence of how far they're willing to go. My mortgage statement hadn't arrived, so I called the bank. "We've been sending it to your updated address." The representative explained, "Your parents contacted us about forwarding your financial documents to their home for safekeeping." The violation leaves me breathless. They nearly succeeded. Would have, if I hadn't been vigilant about my payments. What else have they diverted? What other pieces of my life are they quietly commandeering? Sleep has become almost impossible. I lie awake cataloging potential vulnerabilities, jumping at every creak and rustle outside my windows. The thought of checking my mail each day fills me with dread. What new boundary will they have crossed? What fresh guilt trip will be waiting? This morning, I received an email from my homeowners association. My parents had contacted them with concerns about commercial activity at my address. A complete fabrication, but one that required me to respond with formal documentation, proving I work from home occasionally but don't run a business. The cost of this estrangement keeps mounting. But the alternative, a lifetime of exploitation, of being seen as nothing more than Liana's support system, seems unbearable now that I've glimpsed freedom. I start small, changing passwords, setting up mail, forwarding directly to my workplace, installing security cameras at every entrance. I document each unwanted contact, each social media post, each attempt to access my personal information. The methodical process steadies my shaking hands. When the security company finishes installing my new system, I feel a strange blend of sadness and relief. My home, the place that was supposed to represent my independence, now resembles a fortress. The next morning, a small miracle appears on my desk at work. A loaf of homemade bread wrapped in brown paper with a note tucked beneath the twine. "Sorry I blabbed about your new place. Not everyone thinks you're wrong. Some of us wish we'd been brave enough to set boundaries years ago. Marcy." I hadn't realized how isolated I'd been feeling until that small gesture of support brings tears to my eyes. The moment of peace is short-lived. That evening, I pull into my driveway to find Liana's SUV parked in front. Through my front window, I can see shadows moving inside my house. The familiar surge of violation is accompanied by something new, cold, crystalline anger. This time, I don't hesitate. I call the police from my car, watching as neighbors peek from behind curtains at the unfolding drama. By the time the officer arrives, my family has noticed me sitting in my driveway. They spill onto the front porch, Mom's face contorted with self-righteous indignation, Dad's reddened with anger, Liana clutching her purse to her chest like a shield. She's throwing her own family onto the street. Liana cries dramatically as the officer approaches. "We were just visiting." "With what key?" I ask calmly, showing the officer my security camera footage on my phone. "I didn't give you permission to enter my home." Mom steps forward, eyes darting toward the gathering neighbors. "How could you call the police on your own blood? What will people think?" Something shifts inside me. The question that has controlled my entire life, "What will people think?" suddenly seems absurdly irrelevant. "I don't care what they think," I say, my voice steady. "I care what I think. and I think this ends today. The officer escorts them from my property with a warning about trespassing. As they drive away, I realize something profound. I've spent my entire life afraid of disappointing my family, measuring my worth by their approval, but I've never considered how consistently they've disappointed me, how little they've valued my independence, my choices, my right to a life that isn't defined by what I can give them. The next day, Dave, a friend from college, who now practices family law, helps me draft a formal cease and desist letter. They're counting on your guilt, he tells me as we review the document. They've weaponized it your whole life. When Liana shows up at my workplace the following week, her eyes swollen from theatrical crying, my coworkers form an unexpected protective barrier. Marcy intercepts her at the front desk. 2 others happen to join me for lunch. When Liana tries to ambush me in the parking lot, the contrast is stark. These people who owe me nothing respect my boundaries without question, while my family, who should protect me, tramples every line I draw. With each day, I find my voice growing stronger. No becomes easier to this doesn't work for me, rolls off my tongue without apology. The words, I've made my decision, no longer feel like a betrayal. At home, I change all the locks, upgrade my security system with door cameras that send alerts to my phone. I gather financial records, text messages, social media posts, a paper trail documenting years of exploitation. The folder grows thick with evidence I hope never to need but feel safer having. The notification appears on my phone while I'm in a meeting 2 days later. The doorbell camera shows my mother on my front step, trying a key in my lock while glancing nervously over her shoulder. The key doesn't work. I've changed the locks twice since the last confrontation. Her expression darkens as she tries again, then reaches into her purse for what appears to be another key. My heart pounds as I watch the footage. This isn't over. This is just beginning. I spend my Sunday afternoon assembling evidence, like puzzle pieces on my dining room table. Every trespass, every manipulation, every lie documented with military precision. The security camera footage plays on my laptop, showing Mom trying 3 different keys in my front door yesterday while I was at work. I add the timestamp to my spreadsheet and feel a curl of satisfaction rather than the usual guilt. This looks comprehensive, Dave says, adjusting his reading glasses as he reviews my documentation. My lawyer friend has squeezed me into his Sunday, bringing the scent of coffee and legal pads into my living room. The cease and desist letter should be ready tomorrow. Will you be okay delivering it yourself? I need to do this myself. I add the mortgage company's call recording to a labeled folder. The representative's voice still rings in my ears. We spoke with someone claiming to be your mother, about transferring your mortgage to another property. We informed her this wasn't possible without your direct authorization. My therapist Judith's advice guides my hand as I organize everything. Document. Don't engage. Facts, not emotions. Boundaries, not arguments. Monday morning I place the certified letter in my mother's hand. She doesn't open it, just stares at me with wounded eyes, as if I've betrayed her by protecting myself. You'll regret this, she whispers, but takes the envelope. 3 days pass in blessed silence. No calls, no texts, no unexpected visits. I sleep through the night for the first time in weeks. Thursday brings the inevitable escalation. I'm reviewing code at my desk, when Marcy from accounting appears at my cubicle, eyes wide. Your parents are in the lobby, she whispers. They told reception your sister was in an accident, and they need you immediately. Cold dread washes through me, until I spot the text from Liana complaining about her kids' school lunches. Time-stamped 2 minutes ago. I find my parents arguing with our receptionist, Mom dabbing at dry eyes with a tissue while Dad